Hi, it's Jeff. Today on my channel I'd like to do a little project. Add an outlet in a spare bedroom. Now in France, the wall construction is a little different. It's terracotta and plaster, so there's no void behind the drywall. And they don't use junction boxes. A lot of the stuff is surface applied. So follow along and I'll give you some hints about how this project went in my house. So this is an example of how buildings in France are being built. They're using a clay masonry unit as infill and a concrete structure. And then for the interior, they end up plastering right over top of the terracotta units. So when you come to France, many times you'll be disappointed by the number of outlets you find in a room. And there's a couple of different solutions for that. Number one is a multi-plug strip that goes into the wall here with the European style, with the two prongs and a ground prong and an on-off switch. That's very helpful. When we first arrived here, we used this little adapter which has USB ports on the side, and this one was very helpful because this guy gave us the ability to charge our phones or use things that had voltage at 110 volt American style, and that had a surge protector in it too, so we used that for phone chargers and whenever we needed to use an American plug. In a lot of times in the bedroom, there'll just be one outlet in the wall. And they've come up with some pretty tricky things. A fitting like this will go into the wall and give you 3 outlets out of 1 connection. So that multiplies your outlets. Another adaptation of that same thing is this guy with USB ports on it. And with the USB ports, it'll give you 2 5 volt, 2 amp max USBs to plug things, and then 2 outlets just out of a wall socket, which is good. Now, when you're having a heavier electrical load, you'll need a cord like this, which is more robust, and it'll add you about 3 meters worth of run. The other option is when you have a lamp extension cord, those cord ends are different. They're made for just a 2-prong adapter without ground. And what they say here is they're going with 1300 watts, 230 volt. So this would be an extension for a lamp. It can also be used for like a printer. And then the heavier cords would be for more robust electrical loads. So we hope this helps you with getting your outlets in France to help you plug in all your electronics that we seem to bring to France. All right. So in a building where there's an existing outlet, a lot of the easiest way to add an outlet is to tap off an existing with surface mounted conduit, and they've done it here in this wall. So this wall is plaster over terracotta, which means there's no void behind the finish to run anything. So when they added some shutters here in the apartment, they just went surface mounted with this snap-on conduit. The snap-on flat conduit allows you to get wires to where you need to go when the wall is solid. So anytime you do electrical work, of course, you go to the electric panel first. In our apartment, this is what ours look like. There's a master switch at the top that shuts down the whole apartment. And then what we've got is individual breakers. And of course, to flip the breaker, you just flip it down. And it's in the off position. And to restore, you flip it back up. So before beginning any electrical work, head to the panel first, make sure that the breaker is off, and an easy way to test it is just plug in a lamp, and when you flip the breaker off, the lamp goes off, the circuit is dead. Always make sure your circuits are dead before you start any electrical work. So for today's project, we're going to be adding a surface mounted outlet on the wall, and what we're going to do is take the existing wire and we've run it down the wall in the plastic covered conduit, and we've got it to the point where we're going to strip the leads and put the outlet on the wall. This allows us to add one more outlet to the existing bedroom. In France, the outlets are normally few and far between. So in this style box, there's a screw in the middle. We're going to unscrew that, which allows us to pull the back off. And inside is the connector. And in Europe, there are 3 colored connectors. Black is the hot lead, blue is the neutral, and the green is a ground. Sometimes it's green with a gold tracer. So what we'll do is we'll strip our wires, connect this box to the wall, and then put the cover back on. So you can see on the inside of the boxes there's small grooves for where you can drill a hole through to let the wire into it. I'm going to drill into this bottom hole and make an opening so that I can bring my wires into this surface mounted box. So what I've got is a little mark here in the back, and I'm going to just rotate my knife. It's a soft plastic little housing, and as I rub my knife, it's going to make a hole big enough to bring those wires into this housing. These little covers are made to be cut and bring the wires into it because they're all for surface mounting. And by just twisting my knife, I'm just getting the hole bigger and bigger until it's close to the right size. And with that hole in the side there, I'll be able to bring the wires and tuck them into this surface mounted cover and then wire it up with the plug. So now we're down to the last steps. What we're going to do is take the backing plate, and we want to make sure we've got the backing plate so that it will clip in with the ground plug up. So that means that we're going to clip it on this way onto the wall. We've got 4 anchors in the wall. We had to use an impact drill because of course our wall is those terracotta blocks. So it's a solid wall and there's no real void or no drywall here. So we're going to catch these existing 4 holes, and we're going to put the backing plate onto the wall with our plastic anchors, and that will allow us to get to our last step here of finishing up. This is going to hold the outlet firmly into the wall. We're going to take our pliers, cut off the extra insulation that we don't need anymore. And bring that back down into where it belongs. course, as we mentioned, the ground is this yellow wire. The blue is the neutral. And in this situation, it's not a black wire, but it's a tan wire is going to be our hot lead. So what we're going to do is make this we're going to come up over the top with the ground wire like this, and then go down into the fitting. And there's a depth guide for how long to cut the wires. It appears on this front section here. And what we'll do is we'll cut that wire the right length. Then we'll strip it. Check our length. So we're good on the length. We'll slip into our lock-in. And our ground wire is locked into where it needs to be in the fitting. Just adjust a little wiggle so everything fits into the housing correctly, like that. So there's our ground wire hooked in, and now we got two more to fit into the bottom. We'll cut our there is our feed wire now, prepped. And we'll go up into the fitting. And now the feed wire is locked in. And we got one more final connection to do, which is our neutral. We'll take our neutral wire, cut off the extra wire at this point. And there we go. And that is our neutral wire, goes into the clip. There we go. So we're locked in with our neutral, our power, and our ground. And then what we're going to do is just get this fitting locked back into the base plate. And it's a snap away, and we are set. And here we are on our last step. We've got our wires all put back, tucked neatly in. We're going to snap back the cover back on top and just let that slip right over where it belongs, like that. We're going to snap back this surface conduit. And we have a new additional outlet in this French room. And it's just that easy, especially when you're going surface mounted with these things, to get an additional outlet. And I found that when you're in France, they're a little stingy on the outlets, especially I think in these older buildings. Sometimes you have to use a plug strip in order to duplicate or add additional outlets. But with that, we are all back in business with our own outlet. We'll go back, flip the electrical breaker back on, check the circuit, make sure everything's good. But we are done with this project for today. Well, thanks for watching that little video. If you have any comments or questions, just put them in the box below and give me a thumbs up. It helps my algorithm and it helps my channel grow. Hey, and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, bye for now.